this is Pete, or Kenshin1913, and today is another Cooking with Kenshin1913. I'm going solo today, and I'm going to be making one of my favorite side dishes, cornbread. Well, now this side dish, cornbread, basically, is not a homemade cornbread. It's kind of like one that I'd taken from a box and jazzed it up and made it delicious. So, yeah, it's pretty easy to do. Alright, you're gonna get 2 boxes of your favorite cornbread mix. Mine is Jiffy. You're gonna need to follow the instructions. So for this, you're gonna need 1 egg per package. So we need 2 eggs. I almost dropped them, holy moly. And then we're gonna need 2/3 cup of milk. And now the way that I jazz it up is I put a little bit of butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter, and then I add a little bit of actually honey to make it even delicious. I usually eat this cornbread with either dinner, obviously, or sometimes for breakfast because it's so damn good. So let's get the process started. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is open up our cornbread mix. Oh yeah, also I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I've already started doing that off screen, I guess. And let's open this son of a bee. And we throw in the cornbread mix. Now what we do here is throw in the other one. Yeah, and what we're going to need, another piece of equipment we're going to need is an 11 by 7 inch baking pan. This will usually fit, you know, 2 packages of cornbread mix. So let's open this up. So yeah, I kind of like using the box. I've never actually made my own cornbread, although I'm sure it would be delicious. So we have our cornbread mix here, and now what I want to do is take this butter. Sorry for being so loud. Take this butter, and now I'm going to cut about 2 teaspoons. What I'm going to do, because I want, there are 2 tablespoons. I'm sorry, 2 tablespoons of butter. Now what I want to do is I'm going to throw it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. And as that's going, I'm going to take my grease, my Crisco. You can use Pam or whatever, baking Pam, and I'm just going to get me some grease, and I'm going to grease my baking sheet, making sure to get in the corners, because that's the trickiest spot of where the mix really likes to get in there. So you want to take it and definitely get in the corners. You want to get in there and make sure you got the, that's really the most important part. And if you don't think it's greased enough, just take a little bit more and put it on, because it'll help get it unstuck when it's all said and done. So now that our butter is melted, let us take our butter. We're done with this for now. So let's take the cornbread mix. Let us take the butter, which is melted. Shut my microwave. See the butter? Melted. Dump it in there. Get every last bit out that you can. Now, we're going to add our eggs. I wish I was good enough to break eggs with one hand. That would be pretty sweet. You can break it over the thing. I'm sure people know how to break eggs. So now we got eggs. So the next thing we need is milk. It does a body good. 2/3 a cup. If I don't have enough, that's alright. Ooh, just barely. 2/3 a cup of milk. We're going to pour that on in. And there we go. Pretty simple so far, huh? We got all the liquids in except one thing, which we want to do here. Now this is a tricky. Well, this is kind of tricky because sometimes it can be hard to finagle honey out. But what we want to do is we want to take it. Well, depending on your honey, you want to take at least 1 tablespoon. I mean, a little bit. This is actually like a teaspoon. I'm just gonna end up putting it all in because I want to finish off the honey. But yeah, usually this is about, I usually put about 2 teaspoons in. Get it real nice. And now what we want to do, after we've gotten all the honey out, and this is actually like, well, I mean, all honey is from bees, but my brother, he ended up buying some local honey, which was pretty good, and damn you, get off of me. It actually helps with your allergies. If you take, if you use local homegrown honey. So now we have that in there. So what I like to do, break those eggs. And what you want to do is spin it. Not once, not twice, but you just want to stir it about 10 times. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And basically, well, you could spin it a little bit more, but the main reason why I said about 10 is because you don't want to overmix your cornbread. Because if you overmix your cornbread, you're going to not have that nice texture to it that most people get when they make cornbread. Because if you mix it too much, then it becomes more flat, and it's not as fluffy as it could be when you make it regularly. So that's about the consistency I like it. As you can see, I'll just blub 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 blub. So that's about the consistency I care to have my cornbread. So now after we've done that, let's just pour it on in. And another thing I like to do at the very end, which I'll show you, which is my own little spin on it. This is actually a pretty easy recipe. I mean, I'm just kind of following by the book, cornbread. Maybe one day I'll actually make my own, but for the time being, I like making this. And this is actually very good. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to put the honey in, and you don't have to put the butter in, but those are optional. And then if you didn't put the butter or honey in, basically you would just be making cornbread right out of the box. And then I probably wouldn't make an episode of it because, you know, it's nothing original. This, you know, you could throw in, you can actually throw in, I've seen people put in actual thing of corn and make a corny cornbread. I've seen people throw in a little bit of cheese and make it a cheesy cornbread. So after we're done taking the cornbread, and then we take it, and now you see how it's in there? You want to shake it. Just to shake it. Just to shake it. And then you shake it, and see? Now it's evenly coated on all sides. So now we're going to throw this in an oven at 350 degrees for about a half hour. So I'll meet you back when the cornbread's all ready. And I'll show you the final step. Okay, we're back, and look at this delicious cornbread that's out of the oven. 30 minutes. Now, here's how you check to see if your cornbread's all good. You place the toothpick inside, and if it comes out dry, you have yourself one ready cornbread. Now, here's one last thing I like to do, is I take my butter. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do this if you want. But what I like to do is I like to take the butter just a little bit while it's still warm and just rub a little bit of butter right on top to make it look nice and shiny. Now what I'm planning on doing is let this cornbread rest about 5 to 10 minutes, because the first piece of cornbread is always the first piece of cake or cornbread or whatever the hell you're eating is usually always the hardest to get out. So I'm going to wait a few minutes before I taste test this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so what you want to do, obviously, is you get your spatula, and you just, I mean, this is pretty simple. I figured I'd show a piece coming out. Of course, the first piece is always the hardest piece, and it really all depends on what kind of person you are. Either you're a middleman, or you're the corner guy who likes the sides. I personally like the sides and the corner, but let me tell you, when you get a nice piece in the middle, it is all delicious too. Look at that, huh? Yummy. Come on, get off. There you go. So yeah, you got yourself a nice piece of cornbread. So we got our cornbread here, and look at this, huh? Nice and fluffy and delicate and delicious and just so damn good. Now this is some cornbread you can be proud of. It's nice and moist, and it's also it's got that bit of honey in it and a little bit of butter to help it out a bit. It's just very good cornbread. Now I know this isn't 100% homemade, but you know what? I put a little spin on it, and I think it's very, very good. So this has been Kenshin1913, or Pete, and this has been another cooking with Kenshin1913. See you later.